Thursday, crafty friends. This is Lea Lawson with Pinkfresh Studio, and I am super excited to be introducing this brand new collaborative stamp set from the Stamping Village called Holiday Seals. We are proud to be a founding member of the Stamping Village as we truly believe in community over competition. We have grown to 12 members, and each of these members have contributed an illustration for this lovely holiday stamp set. Like the first collaborative stamp set, we have kept with the envelope seal theme. And while these look amazing stamped to an envelope, I think they also look really great on a card. This is our image on the stamp set, and it says Winter Wishes and Snowflake Kisses. It's really just a fun and whimsical image. Today I'm going to show you a card that I've created with our stamp from this set and its matching envelope. So how about we get started? Recently, I created a set of cards featuring papers from the Just a Little Lovely paper collection, and it left me with a lot of thin paper strips. I don't like to waste beautiful paper, so one of my favorite things to do with these thin strips is cut them with our different edger dies. We've got 3 different sets, including Simple Edgers, Classic Edgers, and Lacey Edgers 1, which is the set I'll be focusing on today. I went ahead and did the die cutting off camera, along with popping out all the little insides from the lacy parts. I've chosen a square shape for my card today, so I've trimmed down a block of heavyweight white cardstock to 4 1/4 inches, which I will adhere the lacy paper strips to. I added a thin strip of score tape to the top of each strip, which allows for a strong adhesive bond to the paper block, but allows me to add dimension to the lacy part of the strip. Once I've finished layering the lacy paper strips to the cardstock block, I flip it over to trim off the excess on each side. I have the EK Success non-stick scissors, which help when cutting through anything that has adhesive on it, although that doesn't keep it from sticking to you or your craft mats or you again, or really anything else. But at least it really doesn't stick to the scissors while you're trying to cut off pieces like this. So with the lacy background finished, I'm going to go ahead and adhere it to my square card base. I want it to be mounted with a fairly full panel of foam adhesive, which I create in kind of a DIY fashion. I buy large sheets of white fun foam, then back them with score tape for a strong adhesive bond. I've had to use a couple of scrap pieces for my card today, as I don't typically create square cards, but it allowed me to use up some of those scraps that I tend to hold on to, which is great because that means I'm not wasting. So I went ahead and die cut this leafy wreath off camera from some heavyweight white cardstock, and I'm going to be adding a little bit of liquid watercolor to the wreath, but it's going to be a very minimal amount, so I don't feel like I had to use watercolor paper, as I really wanted all the whites to match. However, if you feel more comfortable using watercolor paper, then you definitely can. I'm giving you a little sneak peek at some new colors, but that is all I'm going to say for now. So to prepare, I've added a couple drops of each color to a piece of acetate, then added some water to each one. I do this because our liquid watercolor is highly pigmented, and I typically want to tone down the vibrancy a bit. All I'm doing is splattering the colors to the front of the die-cut leafy wreath, which is why I chose to just use heavyweight white cardstock. There isn't much liquid being moved around, so you don't really have to worry about the liquid watercolor absorbing too much or causing the paper to peel, which really isn't pretty if you've ever seen it happen. I did want the splatters to stay fairly muted, so I just dab them up with a paper towel if I feel like they get too bright or vibrant. So now I set the splattered wreath aside to dry, and I'm going to stamp our image from the Holiday Seals stamp set to a piece of matching aqua pattern paper. I'm going to be heat embossing this image, so I make sure to prep it with my powder tool. This way the embossing powder only sticks to the ink and not to places I would rather it didn't heat set. I'm inking my stamp up with some WOW slow drying embossing ink, but you can really use any type of Versamark ink that you prefer. I've crafty friend gave me this sweatband at a stamping event earlier this summer, which for some reason helps you apply really even pressure to your MISTI when stamping. I've been using it ever since and I love it, so I just thought I would share that quick tip with you. I'm covering my stamped image with Wow opaque bright white embossing powder, then just heat setting it. I do turn my heat gun on when I start stamping the image, which makes the heat setting process go really quickly. So now it's time to start putting the card together. Off camera, I die cut the stamped image with a random circle die, along with 3 more from white cardstock. Then I just stacked and adhered those. I also cut the bow from gold glitter paper and assembled it. This is from our partial cut bouquet and a bow die set, and I will make sure that all featured Pinkfresh products are linked in the description below. Finally, I fluffed up and added dimension to the Leafy wreath and adhered it to the middle of the card with some glue dots. I thought about using glue dots for the sentiment circle as well, but decided that foam dots would actually be better and would keep the stamped image closer to the same plane as the wreath. Once the foam dots were in place, I added the stamped circle to the middle of the wreath. Finally, I added some glue dots to the back of the gold bow, then adhered it to the bottom of the wreath. I always feel like I need to perk the bow up a bit, and while I didn't do it on camera, I often use the handle from one of my watercolor brushes to round the bow loops. One of the final steps that I almost always do on my cards is adding trios of iridescent jewels as accents. I'm using our Essentials Jewels Mix, which comes in a pack with 12 colors. For this card, I'm using light pink, light blue, and white. If I'm being honest, I tend to fuss around with where the jewels go a bit, so I did the placement off camera and am now adhering them in place with my Crystal Katana jewel picker and some mixed media glue. This type of glue gives jewels a good permanent bond to your card once it dries. So I don't make square cards very often. I think I mentioned that previously. And so I don't keep square envelopes on hand. Instead, I decided to make a custom envelope from the Possibility 12 by 12 pattern paper sheet from our Just a Little Lovely collection. I'm really loving how perfectly this envelope matches the card, and I might do this more often. It's a great use of 12 by 12 pattern papers if you don't scrapbook. I'm using the envelope punch from We Are Memory Keepers, and it tells you right on the punch board what size to trim the paper to and where to punch and score the envelope. It's really quite handy. So once you've finished punching and scoring each side, all you have to do is fold the envelope together, then adhere the bottom flaps together. I've used thin score tape to adhere mine. I went ahead and stamped our holiday seal image to the envelope in Delicata Golden Glitz ink, and I love how perfectly it fits in this cute envelope. Well, crafty friends, that is all I have for you today. The Holiday Seals stamp set is available for purchase today in our shop, as well as at the other Stamping Village member shops and many of our loyal retailers. We can't wait to see what you create with it. Thanks for watching today, and if you enjoyed it, I would love for you to give this video a thumbs up. If you happened upon our channel, we would love for you to subscribe and be sure to hit the bell right next to the subscribe button so you'll be notified when we add new content to our channel. Until next time, crafty friends, I hope you have a wonderful day.